Hello, the John Sitton Football Uncensored podcast with me, Joe Mealing, asking the questions. We are analysing the two greatest games England have had in many a year. That being bearing a hatchet against Germany, winning 2-0 in the last 16. And then after that, after we've analysed that, John is feeling really positive and really looking forward to his positive views on that. And then we'll look at the second game, which was the quarterfinal, which was the destruction of Ukraine in Rome. So, without further ado, John, England-Germany, 2-0, comfortable result. Muller missed a glaring opportunity, but rode our luck and basically swept them away. What was your assessment of the game?
I think the group stage. I think with the Germany game and with the Ukraine, I'm really trying hard to be a glass half full type of geezer. And in saying that, you can only beat what's put in front of you.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So does that mean whilst the teams, I guess from that you're saying the teams we've beaten thus far haven't been the best, and we haven't
break it down, Joe. Break it down.
Well,
break it down.
Why?
You know what? I talk about deconstructivism when you're coaching. Well, you should do the same if you're trying to be a professional analyst or you're trying to be a pundit on the telly and not get swept away with it all and be
pros and cons. It's not all pros. Yeah.
Subjective.
So what was the cons then? So obviously the pundits are all like bigging it up, football's coming home. Rio Ferdinand was absolutely, loving it. Alan Shearer was just waxing lyrical. What was the cons? If you was a pundit after the game on Germany, what would you have said we need to be wary of?
I think we've been very lucky with the qualification. I think we've been very lucky with the draw in the group. I think we've been very lucky with the draw in the actual tournament itself. I think the only time, and I'm going to be 100% honest, we can't ask any more of the players. I think they've been absolutely magnificent. Having said that, the only time we were asked to rise to the occasion where there was a little bit of pressure on, there was a little bit of history, a little bit of pride in terms of the UK, we was asked to step up against Scotland, and I thought we failed dismally. I think Scotland outclassed us, outpassed us, out-tacticked, if there's such a word. And the movement was better. So that's in the groups. We drew 0-0. Okay, we kept a clean sheet. Fantastic. Which is a good sign. If you can grind out some sort of result when you're not playing particularly well. Yeah, so that's a plus. Talking as an ex-professional. Croatia, I think it's the worst Croatia side probably in a couple of decades, or at least a decade. But ample revenge for according to some, but not according to me, because I thought in Russia, 1 or 2 adjustments, I thought we had the beating of the Croatians having taken the lead. And we could have been playing in a World Cup final instead of beating them in the Euros. And you're talking about no real goal threat going forward. Modric, what's he, 35 now?
Yeah.
Heavily reliant on him. And then Czechoslovakia, who I think they've sort of, what they've done, they've grown into the tournament and seem to have got stronger when they've realised, hold on, we're winning a few games here and going a bit further. And then ultimately a brick wall against Denmark. Then you go to the Germany game. All right, let's have it right. And I think I'm right in saying, according to some articles I've read, they actually called 2 players out of retirement.
Yeah. Muller and Hummels, yeah.
To make up the squad, to make up the side, and to add a bit of experience. I think there's at this moment in time, and it happens. It's cyclical. Football, it's like it reflects life. It's cyclical.
Yeah.
And I think there's a dearth of talent at this moment in time where the German national side is concerned. So the glass half full side of me says, and although it don't sound like it, it says to me, you know what, take it while you can, because in the past, Joe, right? Again, let's have it right. There's always been something missing, right? We've either had a Mickey Mouse manager, Mickey Mouse coach, two Mickey Mouse foreign managers who took us for a nice few quid. We've shat on from a great height on probably some of the most talented managers and coaches in the history of the game, people like Clough and Allison. Then you fast forward to Venables and Oddle. They found excuses to lay them off. Then they employ a geezer in between who's basically successful at club level, but takes the game back 30 years.
Taylor.
In terms of elaborate technique, in terms of elaborate build-up play, in terms of player education, set us back 30 years. And then there's something wrong at the FA. They keep changing personnel. And then we've got massive talent, but no strength in depth. Or we've got talent and strength in depth, but they're not being organised properly in terms of the Wally with a brolly. Takes a nice few quid again. And I think we've said, listen, what I'm going to say to you, we've said more in this podcast, right, in 9 episodes than some people have said in their careers, and they've had millions out of the game. Yeah. I promise you. I know that. I know that. I know that 1,000,000%. You come to the Ukraine game, I can even pull that to pieces. I can absolutely shred it. I mean...
well, we'll get to that. I want you to shred it. Because I think it's great.
You're lucky with Germany. You're lucky with Germany because a lapse in concentration, a better Germany. I think you made one good, really cracking save, Pickford, and then there was the other one where it was, I don't know, it was a misplaced pass or half a tackle, and it got set back. And then you've got to look at like 2 international centre-backs who you could have basically driven a fleet of Sherman tanks between the middle of them, whereby when you coach appropriately to kids who go through their careers, and then you give them little reminders when you're at youth team or academy level or under 23 level or reserve team level, as it was when I was roundabout coaching, or first team level, you give them little reminders. So one might drop out to receive the ball, but the other one's got to be the insurance in terms of expect the worst. Always expect the worst, right? And they didn't. And then Muller, I mean, he fluffed the finish. So we were lucky there.
I mean, I guess, is it fair to say that we just, didn't get the rubber to green in some big instances previously, and maybe it's about time we did have a bit of a rubber to green in terms of Miller missing and
totally agree.
Pickford,
Totally agree. But I'm also a great believer in having been through the peaks and troughs of playing and coaching, the peaks and troughs of life itself. I'm a great believer in the saying, you make your own luck. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes it gets to the stage like I'm at now, where if you keep getting hammered, you just think to yourself, well, why am I fighting this? And you might want to go a different sort of route. But I totally agree with what you're saying. But then you can't legislate for, silly mistakes that put you out of a competition.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking Seaman in Japan and South Korea.
2002, yeah.
I'm thinking. I mean, you want your goalkeeper to have a bold starting position, and you can't legislate for a miss it ball. The geezer's looking to stand it up and maybe fade it in behind the line where we've held, which I'll come to is relevant with the Ukraine thing. And then he mishits it, Ronaldo, and it goes over Seaman's head into the top corner. Then you've got even before that the Neville penalty against Poland. I think that might have been in qualification under Keegan or at some stage during the cup. I mean, I'm getting to an age now where I've dismissed it and I can't be bothered because it's not me living anymore.
Well, I mean, we had sendings off, didn't we? I mean,
sendings off.
Rooney got sent off. Beckham got sent off in 98.
Got sent off. And then disallowed goal, Campbell. So Campbell against Argentina in the same game that shouldn't have been disallowed, etc., etc. So you're right. We are due to rubber to green.
And the Lampard one, although we did get smashed 4-1. I mean, everyone goes on about that, but we got absolutely smashed by Germany, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, deservedly so. It looked shambolic.
Yeah.
It looked absolutely shambolic, as on the field as it was off the field, according to rumours and sources.
And then there's no. I don't think anyone's saying there's a rubber to green in 2012. Obviously, then 2016 we lost to Iceland. I mean, absolutely horrific.
Then the World Cup after that, like I've said on previous podcasts, basically an under 14 mistake where centre half don't clear the path in front of him from a goal kick. It was what we call flat. played in flat,
Mm.
and as it's drilled
This
in
was a
flat,
Suarez one.
basically assess the flight, make a decision, communicate, and then attack the ball and clear it. Those are your 5 keys. You know what I mean? In terms of the clear it, it's in terms of the technique. You're looking at the technique with the header.
So,
it skims off the top of Gerrard's head and puts Suarez clean through.
so
It was offside.
yeah, but he was on because he flicks it. Yeah.
What now?
What
It's just everything seems to be come together. You know, like serendipity.
Yeah. When you were watching the game, or when you watched the Germany game, what was going through your mind? Was you stressed? Was you content? Was you pleased? Was you pissed off? I'll just from an ex-pro, ex-manager, what was you looking at? What was your gut telling you when you was watching it?
I don't think we were ever in any danger of losing. Whereas in previous games against Germany and their ilk, I'm talking, because I said before a ball was kicked, Italy, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, if it's not Italy, it will be among the usual suspects, right? So I've cast the net wide. So I'm not really being a smart ass by casting the net wide. And I said
Italy was a good shout, very good shout.
Yeah, I said it'd be everyone's having a scream up about France. They'll always do something silly and implode. Holland will do the same. There's always something wrong there in that camp. You know what I mean? And Belgium, I didn't think they'd have the quality in vital areas.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Despite the press and the media, what they say and the way they talk them up, talking in like sort of standing back, cold, clinical, forensically. Never discount the Germans, always keep themselves in with it. But this would have been the first time in a long time where I thought, you know what, we've got this. And lo and behold, multi-millionaire Mourinho says it's basically in England's hands. So sort of approaching the same sort of thing, but from opposite ends. I'm saying we've got this, and you know, it's ours to throw away, which we nearly did. And then Jose says, you know, it's well and truly in England's control. It's in their hands. And then onto Ukraine.
Just on the Germany quickly, who was your standout performer? You know, who do you think played well? Who do you think didn't play well in terms of the game for England?
When he got on Grealish, I was shocked that he never started the Ukraine game because he was crying out. I thought, and what he does, he affects the people around him straight away. You could see a spring in Kane's step, and a little by the way, a little nota bene with regards to the punditry. He got a bit defensive, Shearer, didn't he, about Kane, and I'm wondering how all the Harry Kane doubters will feel now. Well, I think he was one of them. Someone said on Twitter, we were most certainly, but no one ever doubts his ability. No one's ever doubted his ability. I said, what I said was, it looks like he's playing with divers boots on. Then you look, when he gets on Grealish, all of a sudden there's a spring in his step. And I actually made a thing where they had a hug at the end, and then they moved from player to player. But then there was a coming together of 3 of them, Sterling, Kane, and Grealish, and that could be a Manchester City little triumvirate, in the new season, if they do the right business. You know what I mean? If City do the right business, and what a setup that'd be. And I'd make them favourites for the title straight away. Going slightly off piste, I'd make them favourites. You get 35 tap-ins, like I've said before.
Another feather in your cap, as you said, we'll match them up with 5 at the back or 3 centre halves, and that's what we
have to. You have
to.
This is what I said to you, Joe. There's people. It's fate. It's serendipity. It's the opposite of serendipity. It's whatever name you want to give it. There's people in the game who've been in the game. They've managed it. I promise you on my life. And I might have to die of heart attack before Sunday night because I said I don't see England winning anything in my lifetime unless things change drastically behind the scenes. So I might need a bolt of lightning to basically take me out and make England right. But I promise you, even on a stack of Bibles on my newborn grandson, there's people in the game, there's people been in the game, there's people who are in the game. They've earned tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds or multi-millions, and they have not got a fucking clue what they're looking at. And they're just blagging and bluffing their way through. And then basically they give the players a ball and say, go out and play. And this is meant to be management. We know firsthand stories of managers, you know what I mean, who looked after players, and the players think they were looked after, and the geezer's a great guy because he sent him home with bags of drink, bags of spirits, you know what I mean, bottles of spirits. That's not fucking looking after your career. That's not looking after you. That's not making you a better player. That's not improving you. And I will argue until Armageddon, you know what I mean? So when you look at the Portugal thing with West Germany, we got it 100% right. Because that's what Portugal didn't do. They stuck with their whatever they stuck with, 4-4-2, whatever the fuck, with a flat back four. So consequently, they had a spare man at the back to run the ball in or play the ball, and they had a spare man in midfield, and they kept the the Portuguese fullbacks preoccupied by pushing them right back, and there were times when it was like 4v4, even 5v4. So we got that 100% right against the Germans in matching up. Inevitably, what happens is if someone's going to play a formation that's a little bit off the wall, you have to mirror it. You understand?
Yeah, right.
If you don't, right? If you don't mirror it, then there's going to be a chink, a weak link somewhere. And depending on how well drilled they are and how well they play it, they will find your chink.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's too. Would you say it's too much of a risk? Because I suppose there's a chance that the chink could be in your favour, but because, like you say, they're well drilled, the chances are it'd be more likely in their favour. Yeah,
100% totally depends on how receptive your players are and how well drilled you are and how tactically adaptable they are. Because the chink could be in your favour, but then when you lose the ball, inevitably you've got to come back to basics. You've got to mirror them to make sure that they can't find a way through. You know what I mean? So you can use certain areas of the field. Like I said before, it's about placement of players, and you can use certain areas of the field to your advantage, knowing that you're going to have to go bump and then like shuffle back in or over, and have this shape, a certain shape, to make sure that there's no chink of daylight for them to break through.
On that note, following on from that, I guess, how impressed were you with England's defensive performance against Germany, and how much of an impact has Maguire had in coming back into the fold?
Without a shadow of a doubt, he should be. He's in his prime.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I mean, I only read. I'm catching up on papers. I'm doing stuff. I'm trying to juggle all these balls. I read an article on him only this morning. I didn't realise he was 28. When you look at it, it's perfect. Everything's perfect. Pickford, perfect. Maguire, perfect. Stones, perfect. Walker, past his sell-by, but still a great athlete. So perfect. Shaw is like a fantastic story of recovery from an horrific injury. And then the bad spell under Mourinho, who was calling him out over being too fat and unprofessional and not a good enough trainer and not a good enough athlete. And I got to talk him through the game. I remember all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Now he's, you look at the free kick, although Ukraine have only got themselves to blame, which I can come to. You look at the delivery for the Maguire header, nothing short of magnificent. Fucking, it's like, go on, just put that in the back of the net, just finish it off and put it in the back of the net. It was top draw.
Yeah. And he actually created the second goal. Sorry, just to say about Germany. Do you remember he dispossessed matey in midfield and then drove on and then slid Grealish, yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, which Harry nearly got ahead of.
Yeah.
He had the swan neck, didn't he? He had the swan neck to get the header in. So he nearly got ahead of it. But a great delivery.
Do you think you just scored that? Because I know you was good in the air. Well, how good was that finish?
Yeah, it was a good finish. Finish. Yeah, I'd have scored that. I'd have scored the Maguire goal. I'd have scored the Henderson goal. That Henderson goal, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, talking about people getting ahead of themselves, because, I think Harry thought he was going to slide it in. Right, I thought Harry thought he was going to slide it in a retreating back four, recovering back four or back three or centre backs. And I think Harry thought he was going to slide it in along the deck, and he was going to have to get a surface to it, slide in and get a surface to it, as in the side foot maybe or a toe. I don't think he expected it to be clipped. And he just stood it up, just like what you call a little dink. When you're in the trade, you call it a little dink. And he's finished, great finish, and it got him off and running, which he needed it desperately. And going back to the Shearer thing, I think like the remark I made was he looks like he's playing with divers boots on. He needed something to put a spring in his step. He looked full of lethargy, and I think Grealish does that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, Sterling, did, I thought, remarkably well in the first goal. He really drove at the German back four and defensive midfielders, and then played the pass to Kane. Kane then slipped in Shaw, and then Shaw brought it back in for a good ball from Shaw, and Sterling finished. But it seems like Sterling helps. Well, certainly now is helping Kane a bit more, and we can see that moving on to the Ukraine game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
First 3 minutes.
All round tournament, I think Sterling's been our most dangerous player and our best forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was his best performance I've ever seen in an England shirt against Ukraine. I know it was.
I think that applies to him throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah.
It's the best I've ever seen him play in an England shirt.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, serendipity. You've got all these things coming together. Yeah. He's at that age now. What is he, 26, 27? So they're all, it's like I said, I've got this thing with Far Eastern philosophy in terms of the medicinal side and then the physical side and the development side, going back to my martial arts days, and life going in 7-year cycles. So like from 0 to 7, you're still really like you're a baby. 7 to 14, you start to become, you develop as a youth. 14 to 21, you go from a youth to a young man, and then 21 to 28, especially in football, you're at absolute, you're in your prime, optimum level. And then unfortunately, it's a physiological. It's not, I was going to say phenomenon, that's the wrong word. It's just a physiological fact. It's downhill all the way after 30. You can't do nothing about it. There's freaks of nature, but they're very, very rare, very, very odd freaks of nature who they get to 33, 34, 35, 36, depending on how they manage their bodies. And I'm looking at people in the Italian back four. It's a cultural thing. As opposed to England, where there's always something fucking wrong, always the way they've lived their life off the field, our greatest players, this self-destruct button, etc. They're a prime example. If you live your life right and train appropriately, and your dietary prerequisites, etc., you can go on and you can actually take nature on a little bit. Because what happens is it's circulatory. You get like your lower limbs and your hamstrings, they start to ping, but particularly your lower limbs below the knee. So the calf muscle, the soleus, which is the outside of the calf, the gastrocnemius, which is the fat part of the calf, down to your Achilles area, they start to ping as you go over 30. So it's just like we've got everyone. I think I'm right in saying, apart from Walker and maybe Henderson, everyone's around that sort of prime.
Yeah, and younger. I mean, I certainly
younger.
Obviously, Saka's 19. Foden's 20, 21. So they're Mount. Bellingham is 17. So it's a really, really, really young squad. On average, as you say, probably only 2 players over 30, which is crazy. I mean,
and we can go again next year.
Well, yeah. So we'll
be the team to beat. We'll be the team to beat next year in Qatar.
I mean, I think we mentioned last week about the Germany game, how it's sort of an existential game for England.
Yeah.
And if they lose it, it's really hard to come back from it. But they didn't. They won it. They didn't concede. How big of a boost? Well, obviously we know that they've done really well against Ukraine, but mentally for Southgate and then the players, how big of a boost would that have been, the Germany game? How much big of a monkey off the back would that have been?
Yeah. Massive boost. And I think apart from anything else, I mean, I was laughed at Leighton Orient, but like I said before, what fucking waste of time, talent, and ideas. What struck me is how they've concentrated in the pride, the actual pride, which I've been screaming out for years, decades, and the sheer enjoyment in defending, and the pride in keeping clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. And like I've said, I've been screaming it for decades about a changing culture. I've been screaming for decades about we'll never do anything. When I was on Danny Kelly's My Sporting Life, and I said the lack of humility explains why we've done fuck all since 1966. And the geezer, he had to keep pressing the beat button, which he said it ain't a problem. He said it's good. It adds to the ambience, or whatever you want to call it. Adds to the thing, the passion, the thing that you're coming across with.
I bet all the stuff. Alan Turing, really.
Well, all the stuff. Yeah, might explain why I ain't had a gig. Someone said like it'd have to be after the watershed. Do you know what I mean? People just they don't trust me because of I don't even know. I'm running out of excuses for other people now why they don't trust me, because for stuff I've been saying for 20, 25, 30. And I'm 62 in October. Should be a national holiday.
What date?
Should be a national holiday. Battle of Trafalgar Day, 21st.
I'll say first. I'm 12.
Yeah, when we defeated three combined navies to save the UK from coming under foreign rule.
1805.
Huh?
1805, wasn't it? Battle of Trafalgar.
Something like that.
No, it is. But I didn't know it's 21st of October.
Yeah.
Are you Libra?
Yeah.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I'm on
That's why we get on so well. We're yin and yang.
Possible.
We're balanced. Possible. We're balanced.
Yeah. Until someone tips the scales and they go, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah,
they walk away. They walk away. Yeah. I'm just, no. I'm thinking, Joe, like, you know, you look at it and say, well, is it because I is Cockney? Is it because I'm, is it because I've sworn too much? Is it because, I mean, I don't know. When I called them out there, the thing, a couple of, when I said the cockroaches behind me, it was just basically 4 or 5 people behind the dugout who I know who they are, and they know who they are, and they smiled to my face and shook my hand. And is it because I said the circus upstairs because they think I would betray confidences? Listen, I've got a briefcase full of confidences that I haven't betrayed. And one I told you off camera last week. It's people who would never have fucking worked in the game ever again if I was to make public what they've said and what they've done. So what's my biggest crime? You know what I mean? A bit of effing and blinding. So the point I'm trying to make is I think it boils down to getting the platform and having the credibility to be listened to. And all the stuff that I've been saying since I was 28 when I was taking my badges, and that's the reason I raised the issue of my birthday. I'm 62 in October. You know, so what's that, 34 years I've been saying, when I already started to inquire, already started to be inquisitive, already started to question things, and then not only question, saying, well, what about this is the answer, or one of the answers, it's been dismissed, or it hasn't been listened to. Well, now all of a sudden, you've got like this happy coincidence where all that sort of stuff is coming together quite nicely.
Yeah.
Some of which I said, all of a sudden they're commenting on, oh, you know, what I like about these lads is how they come across, you know, and they seem so humble. That's one of the things I said. You've got to have the humility to buy into, and it's the pot calling the kettle black, because it's part of the reason why I was kicked out of Chelsea. You've got to have the humility to buy into what's being done.
But you learnt though, didn't you? That's the difference. You know,
yeah, because he's ended up, he's one of the best coaches I ever worked on. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen, Brian Eastick. But no one knows him. No one really knows him because he never had an illustrious playing career. But I know what I'm looking at, and I know I know the information I've been fed, and I know that I can compare him favourably with people who I saw work and who I worked under, and who I've seen work from a distance, like George Graham and Venables and Malcolm Allison, watching them and listening to them on the sideline, and working under Dave Sexton, Dario O'Grady, Eddie McCready, Ken Shiletto, watching them work and working under them. And he compared very favourably, but unfortunately, I was a stroppy teenager who you know, couldn't handle a bit of early, I suppose, a little bit of early not glory, because it was because I was thrown under the bus in a team that was nigh on already relegated, but just a early success in terms of my own career, making headway. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that Gareth Southgate, obviously a former centre half, has, well, obviously he's had a strategy, but do you think he's starting to create an England way, an identity in how we play that I wouldn't have thought we've had? Certainly not in my lifetime. I don't think we've ever had. Maybe 1990 was the last time we had it.
He definitely stuck to his guns, hasn't he? I think he's made fantastic use of his squad. Because that was a bit of a shock to me. He'd only played before the other night. He'd only played 7 minutes football, Sancho, and that shocked me. And I thought he's either going to. I said on Twitter he'll either be bullied to fuck and he'll be out of his depth, or he could be a potential match winner. And he'd done a few decent things on the ball. I don't think 80 million buys a lot now, but that's just my own personal opinion. He had one good strike at goal, one good goal attempt. He was better off when you're coaching a player. Accuracy before power. So he was better off. I know it was a quick turn and shoot, and it was one of them where he's basically looking at the ball and you can maybe look out the top of your head. Like I coach young players, you don't have to get your head up like a meerkat. You can look out the top of your head. He struck it nicely, and it's one of them. It was too sweet a strike, so straight at the goalkeeper. You're better off saying there, pass it. Pass it. Yeah. The best at that I saw in my career were Steve Finiston and Clive Allen. They'd just pass it in the corner. You know what I mean? Again, the goalkeeper's like diving, stretching, still can't get to it. Whereas straight at him. And that's going to be interesting how his move pans out.
Yeah, it's a Man United. Yeah.
I'm still not convinced by his end product. I think he's they're highlighting him on the punditry, the post-match punditry. I look at this. Well, he's 15 yards inside his own half.
Yeah, I mean, he did a couple of good things, but they were talking about.
He's come short to help a teammate. He's come short to help a teammate, and by the time he's turned, run it on a bit, someone's closed him down. He's dink round them, and then someone else is coming. He's gone back and beat the first player again, and then the second player as he's on his way in. And I looked at it and I go, well, it's good play, but is it good play? Because if you're getting closed down by two players, I would coach him to share the ball, share it on. Because if you get the ball pinched off you there, you could find that you've fucked your own team, your own teammates, because at that level, international level, one assumes, maybe even at Premier League level, you'll get punished. So to indulge yourself by having a little thing, and then at the end of it, you're saying, well, you're looking outcome, right? A key component of dribbling is outcome. When you're coaching dribbling, it's like basically your own formula as a coach: where, when, why, how. Yeah, where you do it, when you do it, why you do it, and how you do it. Right. So dribbling is all about outcome. I didn't see the necessity by the pundits to highlight the fact that he beat a couple of players 15 yards inside his own half. You want him beating two players on the edge of their box, and then a little cutback for a tap-in, or a little dink, stand it up to the far post for a 3-yard header, or draw the keeper to the near post, etc., etc., etc. You're looking at outcome. And then the final outcome, the final key is, can I shoot? Can I cross? When someone's dribbling.
Yeah, and affect the game, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was your view on the 4-0? How impressed were you with England?
Well, it's what I said earlier. You can only beat what's in front of you. But you're looking like the fucking international equivalent of Cambridge. You know what I mean? Cambridge United or Aldershot. I mean, I thought they were diabolical. I'm looking at the thing.
And was that us making them diabolical? Was that us being really hard to play against? Or
there's such a thing. Yeah, they'll think it was a combination of the two.
Okay.
Because there's such a thing as causing your own problems and calling it on yourself.
Yeah.
How can I explain this? Because this is a common. I'm often highlighting this and complaining about it, and I'm thinking, who's drilling this mob? And then maybe the leader at the back is a little bit too full of himself, or they haven't really gauged the depth properly, and they don't really know what they're doing. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it, right? Right, can you see there, like, say, like you've got a back, right, so you've got a back line, they hold a line.
Yeah.
Right? The free kick's over there.
Yeah.
Right? But if I draw a line from there to level with the free kick, which is over there, right? I'll draw a line like that, and then a line that's level with a free kick. What happens is you'll find, just like Ukraine, they were no more than maybe 12 to 15 yards from the ball. Okay. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is, as a consequence of being no more than 12 on a direct line to the line of the ball, right? Yeah, depth, as a consequence of not gauging the depth properly, right? And being only 12 to 15 yards from the ball, right? Yeah. They've left far too much space between them and the goalkeeper. So then you're looking at your goalkeeper. Can you give a really bold starting position to reinforce your back line, right? Well, you look at that was an emphatic no. So consequently, there was a massive amount of grass, a massive amount of ground, a massive amount of space for Ryan Shaw to bend the ball in behind between the line that they held and the goalkeeper. Me personally, if I was them, if you look at it, right, the header came maybe, if my memory serves me right, and I can look at it in my mind's eye, and you're making the same sort of run to, because what it is, you don't do a shooting gallery. It's not a shooting gallery where the ball comes across and you're looking to what you've got to do, you've got to get into the line of the ball. Does that make sense? Right,
yeah. So you cut it off.
That's right. The delivery's come. It's been bent in behind magnificently by Shaw. But now what Maguire's got to do, he's got to make his run, right? And then what he's got to do, he's got to get into the line of the ball, and then he's punched it in with unbelievable power. Right, there was pace on the ball, and then he's added to the pace on the ball. The goalkeeper's never getting anywhere near.
Apparently, the sound had come straight off that big Swede, didn't it? And big old sound.
Yeah. But like myself, people who live in glass houses.
I went looking at you and I said,
not with this fucking canister, right? See all that receding line there. That's from goals and assists. That is.
But anyway, balls. Yeah.
That's another story. Yeah, so I'm looking at it, I'm thinking he maybe headed it just beyond the penalty spot, right? Well, me personally, I think that's where they should have held their line, on the penalty spot. Then you ask the goalkeeper for a bold starting position. You ask him to be maybe 3-4 yards off his line. So then it's like basically assess the flight. And then when you're talking about a goalkeeper taking it at its highest point, if it's over it, 1-2, gather. You know what I mean? So it's like 1 and then off of 1 foot, gather. Right, which you could quite easily make the ground up as like a supreme 6'3", 6'4" athlete / goalkeeper. If you've got a bold starting position, 3-4 yards out, by the time you've taken a couple of strides and made the jump, you know you're well outside your 6-yard box, right?
Yeah, it's like triple jump, isn't it? I suppose. So,
well, that's right.
Get a lot of distance
because you know from data. You know from experience, you know from coaching, you know from watching coaching, and you know from listening to coaching, and you know from watching games that inevitably the contact is going to be made round about the second 6-yard box, right? So what I'm saying is, instead of starting maybe just a couple of yards inside your own box, right, and adding to your own problems, right? What you do, you hold a line round about the penalty spot. Right, and that's got to be drilled in, and that's got to be done week in, week out, day in, day out. And it's not until you're gone that people sometimes realise, you know what, he was right. We're all guilty of it. You don't appreciate something until they're gone. Right. So the point I'm making is, if you hold that line, you've only got to step back a yard to be able to assess the flight and attack the ball yourself, right? You're denying the space in beyond. If it's short, you can go and attack it. If it's hung up over your head, you've only got to step back a yard and then assess the flight and go and attack it. Or at least what you do, it was coached from a kid at Chelsea. I think about 17 when Eastick started doing it with me. You get your body in, you know what I mean? So if it's hung up over your head and you know it's going to be like, you can't do the punch, which if you're coaching defensive headers, height, preferably width and distance. So normally it's height and distance, but if you can add width, that's a like 2-star. That's like you know what I mean? That's an added bonus.
Yeah.
But if it's hung up over your head, you're coaching players to get in and make contact, so that the guy who's coming in on you, he's going to cave in on you, all 14 stone of him, you've got to get your 13 and odd stone and a few pound against him to make sure there's no power in his header. And it's a wet lettuce header, what we used to call a wet lettuce.
Okay,
You know
yeah,
I mean?
interesting.
It's
Yeah,
like it flops down, the goalkeeper's he gathers it comfortably.
Which I think
get onto the seconds and clear it away.
Because it's interesting. I think, if memory serves, Maguire did that against Germany, didn't he? Do you remember that? He had a decent header, and it was a real soft header to the keeper's hands. He almost looked like a free header, but the defender got close to him. It just killed the pace. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
But so that's that one. I mean, it was a magnificent delivery, but I just thought that Ukraine caused their own problems.
Yeah.
And they left far too much space between their backside and what's behind them, which is the goalkeeper. It's only the goalkeeper. So there was too much grass for sure to put the delivery into and for them to make the runs into. You know what I mean? The last thing you want to be doing as a defender, right? In synopsis form, what I don't want to be doing is trying to clear the ball, running towards my own goal or my own goalkeeper. You understand? With someone caving in on the back of me like Maguire was. He actually made it his. Yeah. He's really fucked the geezer right off and got his nut in. Yeah. Before that, the Kane goal, right? I actually said on Twitter, these centre backs, are they non-league? Right? Because what's happened is, right, this is another thing you coach, right? And what it is, it was coached to me, and you plagiarize it and you enhance it and you use some of the language and then you add your own language, right? And then when the ball's there, off at an angle, right? And then what was coached into me is check the marking. So what you do, you keep waving your head to see where Kane is. And then if he's there, what I'm going to do, I'm not really interested. We've got a screening midfield player. I'm not really interested in anything in there, knowing that I can get to it. All I've got to do is I've got to go from there. If this is Kane, what I've got to do is I've got to come in. I've got to mark outside, inside to out, but mark on the outside. So if that ball is punched in, right, on his furthest foot, I can get in line. But if it's played down the side, I'm going to make first contact. Yeah. What made it even worse, right, was the fact that you got Kane, who's got between the two centre backs, and the second Ukrainian centre back never said a word. So if that's me or one of my ex-teammates, they're going to be bossing me, screaming at me, sits on your shoulder, drop in. So you get in and you pick Kane off, right? Nothing was said or done. Then he's made the dart between the two. And then to compound it a third time, how bad it was, the second centre-back never got across and picked the run-off. So consequently, you get, I think it's Sterling, whoever it was it Sterling went to bump and then bump.
First goal, yeah.
Yeah, he comes inside, does the little reverse ball, and then he scampers after it and he gets the toe and just lifts it over the keeper. You know what I mean? So great pass, great finish. Credit to Sterling for the execution. Credit to Kane for the execution, but massive Stewart's inquiry over supposedly international quality fullbacks. Centre backs.
Yeah.
I thought they were diabolical.
Okay, so that's the Ukraine game. Plenty of confidence. What I did was want to ask you before we move on to predictions for the Denmark game. Did you notice that Southgate gave Grealish a cuddle at the end of the game?
No.
And also, did you hear or did you listen to Southgate's interview afterwards, where he almost looked a little bit glassy-eyed, a little bit emotional?
Yeah.
And the first thing he said was, I'm a bit not upset. I can't remember what the word he used now, but my thoughts are with the players that aren't involved today and haven't been involved. And they've been so good. They're as sort of, they've been as influential as the players on the pitch to make sure that he was just talking about the players that weren't involved. That's the first thing he said after a big game like that. We won 4-0. Just paraphrasing what he said there, to me, that I actually got a bit emotional listening to that, because I thought that was such clever management to try and really, show to the players that aren't involved, we're a team and we're all in this together. I suppose you didn't see it, but is that impressive? And do you think that sort of way he's kind of created a team spirit is unique, or should he be applauded? If we do win it, should he get a knighthood? How impressive is it to create that real team spirit, regardless of whether you're playing or not? And how hard is it to do?
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I saw the interview you're talking about. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's very much, I suppose, for a few years now, to do with how they run things there.
Yeah.
And how they do the badges. Very much part of modern management.
Right.
It's good modern management. I suppose you'd call it being inclusive. Highlighting the importance, when really and truly highlighting the importance of a squad, highlighting the importance of a substitute, when really and truly, if you're a professional person, and I like to think I was, when I was, the odd occasion I was coming back from injury or suspension, I was made sub. I knew I was just as important as the people out there, because I might have to come on and do a job at any minute.
Yeah.
Because of a sending off, or because of someone being injured, right? So I didn't want to be sub for too long. Don't get me wrong, and I wasn't, but I didn't really need a manager to go out of his way to be to highlight this inclusivity, and to be inclusive and to make me feel wanted. If I'm honest, but yeah, I think it's an outward show of his experience in management. It's been a thing for a while now. I mean, I remember him talking about it, Pardew, when he was going on about, I think it might have been during his spell at West Ham, when it might have been, I'm not sure who he was with. But anyway, he said about them having a massive part, just as big a part to play as everybody else, including the starting 11. And for quite a while now, it's been a big part of modern management, I suppose.
Did you ever come across the phenomenon of managers that would sort of niche off players that weren't playing and were sub, and sort of as if to say, you've got to get in my good books, you've got, I'm not going to talk to you unless you're in the first team, basically, so that you want to get in the first team. Reverse psychology type thing.
He did it a lot. Peter Eustace did it a lot. Right. Brian Eastick did it a lot. Frank Clark did it a little bit at Leyton Orient. Keith Peacock was very good at Gillingham, at being making you feel part of it and included. So I had a couple of bad injuries at Gillingham, not bad in terms of physically, but just they took a long time to get back from, because there was like nasty shit in bad areas.
Right.
So he was pretty good at that. He'd always come in and see how you was getting on in the gym. He'd always come and see how you were on the treatment table. He'd always make a point of talking to you in the treatment room. One of the few downsides I thought he had a saying, Malcolm Allison, non persona grata. You don't exist. If you're not fit and you're not in my first 11, you don't exist. So I thought it was one of the things that maybe let him down a little bit.
Yeah, that's a bit fucking harsh, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, basically, it's a case. I think it was very much a case years ago of managers. It's like I've always said, yet again, since I was 28, I think the pendulum swung for too far the other way. You had the one extreme where the managers had total control over your career and your life, and I was fucked about on a couple of occasions. George Petrie was superb. He was ahead of his time at Millwall. When I played under him, when he signed me from Chelsea, he was magnificent at it, and he was very good at allowing you to express yourself, and he was very good at striking up conversations with you to get your inner thoughts on how you were coming back from an injury or how you were coming back from suspension, and to let you know that you were still a vital part of his and the club's future. Yeah, and I thought the world of that. Yeah, so I suppose, in answer to your question, it's very much a part of modern management, and it's good management. And he's gone public about it, but he's obviously, it's like it's like a paradox, isn't it? He's blessed. I think he's got the best job in the country because you've got the pick of the cream of the talent. But at the same time, ultimately, when it comes down to it, you've still got decisions to make, and somebody's going to be left out.
Left out, yeah.
Felt
Or
left
three
out,
people, yeah.
and upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How good a manager is Southgate?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he'll get a knighthood.
Do you think he deserves it?
Well, it's all about fate and luck, isn't it? And the way life pans out. Your life's mapped out for you. You can make decisions that help yourself. But that's just my belief as I've got older. There's certain stuff that goes on beyond your control.
But he sort of got a reputation for being Mr. Nice Guy and a bit of a pushover and a bit of a weakling almost. Certainly not necessarily. Seems like a tough character, a very tough character.
No, Joe, he's corporate. He's corporate. I learned too late. You know, the best assassins are the ones who smile. And I learned that too late. And at the end of the day, you know, when I say he's corporate, you'll find in corporate situations, you'll find in football in particular, you'll have people who they wouldn't be out of place in the SAS. They can smile to your face and shake your hands and look you in the eye and laugh at jokes that are not funny and come across as a nice guy and sincere and ultimately like as ruthless as fuck. They split your throat without batting an eyelid. You understand? And he comes across to me as, I mean, a nice guy, but more than capable of being very, very ruthless. And at the end of the day, that's how you got to be, because it's like this is what I said about part of the paradox. He's blessed with the cream of English talent, being able to pick from the cream of English talent. He can pick a squad. He can change the tactics at any given time, assuming they've got like the right football IQ to go with their ability. He's surrounded with the best working conditions and supposedly the best staff, right? But the paradox being everybody's a manager at 4:45. And then on top of that, he's got the country and the media expectation on his back. So let's hope he does what's right. He's got to do what's right for himself in the end.
Well, it seems like he does. He doesn't seem to listen to what the pundits are clambering for. He does what he thinks.
Yeah, you've got to be single-minded. Yeah, it has paid off. Yeah, because what he's blessed with is the ability to do it with a smile. That's what I mean by I learned too late. You know what I mean? It's even down without going straying too far down the wrong path. What I will say to you is even with regards to like family and acquaintances. You know what I mean? It's learning to do it with a smile. Yeah, I've just got one of them faces. I come across as if I've got the hump when I ain't got the hump.
Well, you smile and laugh on it, which is nice.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You comes with like taking a different slant on life. When you want something so bad, right? This is what I'm going to say to you. When you want something so bad, and when you feel it so, and when you know what you're saying makes sense, or when you know what you're doing is right, and when you know you're on the right track in terms of like how it should be planned strategically, short, medium, and long term, right? I found it very difficult to come across anything other than intense, right? So the best ones down the years, they just duck and dive and bob and weave and go with the flow. They go with the flow of the river.
It's really interesting. You probably haven't seen it yet, but there was a documentary that's just come out on Sky about Terry Venables. And I mean, I didn't actually know how many pies his fingers were in when he was actually a manager. I mean, what he weren't doing weren't worth talking about. I mean, he was running pubs. He had a corner shop for his in-laws. He had a tailor's shop.
Yeah, I know.
He wrote a book, and he's doing all that. So he had all these libel things going on, but just before he became England manager. And
a TV series before that.
He was a singer, wasn't he? He used to do.
Yeah, but he wrote a very successful co-writer of a very successful TV series.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
Hazel.
Hazel, yeah.
Cockney Private Eye.
But he sort of did it with a smile on his face,
Yeah.
Waterford, that's back to him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, I just think that was a time where that's how you had to be. Listen, I played with household names who were on 350 quid a week. I played with people there. They were footballing gods, and we know the story of Lord Hudson. One of the reasons he left Chelsea. I mean, the summer he'd already left, but I joined in the summer of '76, and like massive amounts of the Chelsea Football Club staff, behind the scenes and on the pitch, took pay cuts. And one of the reasons he gives, Lord Hudson, just to highlight the point for leaving Chelsea and going to Stoke, was they reneged on a financial promise of a signing on fee. And I read that. He signed a copy of his book for me, right? So the point being, you're talking about an era when your financial security was always one step away from jeopardy.
Yeah. One injury away from
injury away, one wrong decision away, one result away, one mad chairman away, one muggy group of supporters away, one muggy ex-teammate away from questioning you and throwing. They were talking. He said about it, Shearer doubters. You know what I mean? For throwing light or giving oxygen to the doubters, and that's what he can do. So you don't blame him for having his fingers in all them pies. Not only that, a very talented man.
Yeah, I come across loud and clear on a really good documentary, actually. Right, so let's look at Denmark then.
Hold on, very quickly. That run, right? One of the other goals, the Henderson run, right? So you remember what I said to you about the roll, the dink, the head back across the tapping at the far post, the free kick. I don't know who it was. Was it Colombia?
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, in the last World Cup, and I said about Holland. Worked under Dario Gradi, and I said that free kick was circa 1980s Dario Gradi, Crew Alexander, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
The Henderson goal was circa 88, 89, Leighton Orient under Brian Eastick. That was exactly the run I used to make. And he said so it was an angled run. It would start roughly backwards at the penalty spot, threaten the back, get your body weight into the person who's marking you, and then go with as much weight, pace and energy as you could across him, angled run. As it fizzles out, or if you keep going, he said, I want you to run into the post, he said, or end up in the side netting. And then if I timed it and the delivery was timed perfectly, I would meet the header exactly how Henderson met it. And then if I didn't, I think that year I ended up with about 20 assists, where I sort of glanced it, and we had a goal. We had Alan Hull pulling off of the goalkeeper, and then someone else on the far post. It might have been Paul Shinners pulling off the goalkeeper, or Mark Cooper, and then Alan Hull pulling off of the far post for a side foot or a little stooped header. Looking at it again, Ukraine, nobody in the space. Nobody picked Henderson's run off because it ultimately ended up a free header. And then you had a redundant Ukrainian player on the post who basically he's got to come inside and follow the line of the ball, so he can go either way at the side of the goalkeeper. All this stuff you've got to be proactive and thinking about like this. And then no one screening the front of where Henderson ultimately ended up. If you look at it, the geese was too far. You're thinking, well, what are you doing out there? You're redundant. You're doing nothing. The delivery is going to be chipped over your head or whipped over your head, right? And you're doing nothing. So that explains that goal. Yeah. And I just thought, like, at the end we kept it nicely. So all the stuff that we're talking about over the last 34 years with regards to culture, with regards to humility, players wanting to be coached, willing to be coached and organised, taking pride in defending, not being embarrassed or ashamed to keep clean sheets and winning, drawing 0-0 when we've played shit like we did against Scotland, or winning 1-0 like we did against one of the others, whoever the fuck, and then beating Germany 2-0. You know, it's all been proved right. It's all been proved right. And what I said was, if we don't get it right, you said, well, what's the outcome if we lose this, if we lose this? And I said, well, what's got to happen is they've got to start listening to the likes of me. You know what I mean? Which sounds very brash, very arrogant, very deluded. But I promise you, having been on the inside, it should have happened decades ago. But you've always had this circus attached to England. And I think what's happened now, they've cut away all the dead flesh, all the hangers on bullshit. You know what I mean? I mean, very quickly going back, you remember we had the pre-World Cup party at Beckenham Palace and fucking Sven turning up and the thing, all the glitz and glamour, all the wags in another tournament and blah. Yeah, this is all bullshit distraction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll never see it with the likes of Italy and Germany and if it is, it's kept behind closed doors. France, who won the European Championship and World Cup.
The players used to moan about it. They moaned about bloody Capello being too much of a disciplinarian. Then other managers were too easy and Ericsson let the wags in. The players seem to be. Rio Ferdinand made an interesting point on the punditry, and I thought he spoke well. But it's interesting because he was from that golden generation, did fuck all, and he said that he was really impressed with how young players like Rice and Henderson and Maguire show so much clarity and understanding and honesty when they talk to the media. And he come across like men. And he said when he was playing for England, he hated the media and was nonchalant, nonplussed, batted away questions, the sort of banal, facile responses, the platitudes that meant nothing. Just because they thought the media were there to trip them up, but there seemed to be an arrogance and an egotism from those players of his generation, and that's where the circus was around it, wasn't it? The wags and all that shit.
Well, that's where he should have had guidance and advice from his manager and his coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, if he said about Oddle being one of the best he ever played under, and he's just said, "Don't be afraid to take the ball in, carry the ball in, run the ball in." He should have been showing him. But more to the point, you develop relationships, which I've did with younger players, and a couple of older players recognised it, who speak quite well of me. Like it was quite nice of them, like Ian Bogey and Glenn Cockrell. Although I don't necessarily agree with one comment, but it doesn't matter what it is. When you interact with a player, what they should have been saying to the likes of Rio Ferdinand is, how about this for an idea? If you can't stand the media, and we know what they're all about in terms of trying to trip us up, it's we, not you, it's we, right? Me as the manager or the coach, or we as teammates, right? It's very simple. Don't give them anything to write about. We had the fucking dentist chair. We had the thing in Hong Kong. We had the damage to the thing on the flight on the way home. We like the fucking, it's one of them. Like, who thought of that? Oh, how many times that been done? Someone getting in the overhead locker, and then all the damage and all the bullshit and all the baggage. All you're doing is you're just giving them ammunition. You're just giving them ammunition. You understand? So what you do is just don't give them anything to write about. Then it's like, listen, it's a microcosm of everything else I've ever said, which is I've said to players long before Harry Redknapp said it, because he's done it quite recently over the last couple of years. I was saying it to players 25, 26, 27 years ago, right? You got the rest of your life to be a member of a Tuesday club when you work in the city, right? Or when you work wherever the fuck. Right, part of the office culture. You can go out. I had players going out being led off the straight and narrow by senior pros. They formed the Tuesday club, which was like just basically trying to copy Arsenal. Eating pizza and drinking until you puke. That's no good to me.
No.
As manager. So the bottom line is, I used to say to him, listen, when you pack up playing, you've got the rest of your life, what I call the afterlife, because it's basically after experiencing what I experienced as a kid, the high that I felt from training, the high that I felt from playing, the high that I felt from the success of getting in Chelsea's first team and then being a part of Millwall and then being nailed on as at least the first 2 years at Gillingham, and then some decent years at Leyton Orient. I knew that I call it the afterlife because it's fundamentally a countdown to death. Once you've felt that high, right? And I've been, like my wife said, she said to my children who sort of betrayed her confidence, but it was like a backhanded compliment. She said, I don't know how he's coped. You could see why players go off the rails and become gambling addicts and alcoholics and get involved in 3-4 marriages or 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10 relationships.
Yeah.
Turn to alcohol or drugs, etc., etc. It's the hardest thing in the world just to stay on the straight and narrow. You know what I mean? And and what happens is when you start taking these paths, one of them leads to a fucking cliff edge, and I'll hold my hands up, and I've scratched the surface before. in terms of like me, my missus being childhood sweethearts, you know, for basically my missus pulled me back from the abyss with regards to one particular situation. And yeah, I mean, you could see, but fundamentally, you got the rest of your life. So I'd say, in synopsis form, don't give them anything to write about.
Yeah, it's just interesting just to see how I think, you know, and I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Joe, can we cut this off? I'm just having to put some books delivered. Let me just give Jack a shout, yeah?
Yeah. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Yeah, it's part 2. That was a little commercial break. So if you're listening or watching, just enter the commercial break in that little interlude before, okay? And then just fire us the proceeds.
They're the Nelsons. Right, send the Nelsons. Send the Nelsons through the post. One of them envelopes that they put the gold in.
I'm sure YouTube are watching, so it's fine. We'll get sorted out. Yeah, so we were talking about Denmark. Yeah, let's move on to Denmark. We were talking about Rio Ferdinand and that, but let's move on to Denmark. So the first probably proper game, if in the Nations League, we drew with Denmark in Copenhagen, and we lost 1-0 at Wembley. I think our last team to beat us at Wembley.
That's right.
60,000 in at Wembley. Yeah. What's your verdict? What's your predictions? Obviously, they're riding the crest of the wave with the Eriksen situation. They think that fate's behind them. We think fate's behind us.
Yeah.
How are we going to set up? They seem to do this sort of 5 at the back, 4 at the back thing, mainly 5 at the back. Do we match up? Do we stick with the formation that beat Ukraine, etc., etc.? I think
it'll change. Second guessing Southgate, and then hopefully it will tie in with my own sort of similar thoughts. It'll change the shape.
Okay.
And I think it'll change the personnel.
Okay.
And I think we'll have too much in our locker in terms of Denmark, in terms of ability, in terms of the gained experience.
Yeah, momentum and all that.
And momentum since they were the last team to beat us in all competitions.
Okay. So who misses out? Who misses out? Who
I can only, listen. You can't. Only he knows what he's going to think. I can only pick the team that I would like to see take the field.
Say, what would you do?
Yeah. Yeah. When you say about this thing, I think he'll stick with quite possibly stick with 3 at the back. Yeah, or 5 that evolves into or devolves into 3.
Yeah.
And then match up and give us that bit of width as well. Match up their possible shape. I don't see any reason not to play a similar sort of setup in the middle of the park.
Yeah. Not Henderson, because I thought Henderson.
I think he'll play him. I wouldn't play him, but he'll play him.
You reckon? Yeah. Instead of who? Right.
I think he'll play. He might well play him instead of Phillips.
Yeah.
He might well play him instead of Phillips. I don't think he's got cause to leave either of them out.
No.
But it's nagging away at me, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't play him is because, and it's slightly contradictory, but he's one of them that he's over that threshold in terms of sell by, and it comes to everyone.
5+12.
But I think we've been there. Yeah, we've been there with him. We tried, and it's all very well being vocal, being a leader, and being a personality, which he is. But you need him to be vocal, be a leader, be a personality. Off the field as well as on it, or during a game, which is where I'm looking now. I'm thinking, well, we had him, and when there was this overload in the semi-final in Russia, he never said anything to the bench. If I'd have been Henderson, I'd have been screaming at the fucking bench to change the formation, right, to get me some help and to give them a problem up there to help Harry. Harry's coming too deep. I need him pushed in here. I'd have turn around to Stones. What the fuck you think you're doing? Mark on the outside, push Walker in. Do you know what I mean? So instead of me doing doggies, but he never. You know what I mean? And I'm talking to someone who's been through that experience where you keep your mouth shut, you get taken for granted, you get used and abused, you get ridden, and you put up with it. You put up and shut up. And in the end, the outcome is not a good one in any way, shape, or form. It's not a good outcome for you personally, and it turned out not to be a good outcome for the team, for the side. And you're talking margins like that from well-drilled, well-organised, good players at the bottom of the pyramid, all the way to well-drilled, well-organised players at the top of the pyramid, which is where they are. The margins are like that. So you've got to delve into that experience, I think. So I wouldn't go back. I'd carry on with what I got.
Keep Shaw, presumably.
Yeah, so you'd have Shaw, Maguire, Stones, Walker. He might want to try something different because we haven't been particularly productive down the right.
No, we ain't, have we?
People were going on about Sancho the other night, but I've already covered that. We've covered that.
Yeah.
And I've covered that and I've highlighted it. And as to the reasons why, it's about outcome.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, well, how many deliveries has Harry had into the box from the right? How many little balls down the side of him? And what did we say in previous podcasts? Harry thrives on supply. And in answer to someone like Shearer who got all defensive on behalf of the centre forwards union, right? Well, I wonder what the Harry Kane doubters how they're feeling now. No one ever doubted his ability. What we doubted was his energy levels as a consequence of the way he was being starved of oxygen, which is a supply of crosses and balls down the side of him in the box. He gets a cross from Grealish and fucking heads it in the back of the net. He gets a ball down the side of him from Sterling and lifts it over the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? Job done. He's off and running. Then he gets the other one from the header.
He can still be Golden Boot. I think he's on 3.
Because, him and Sterling.
On 5. Yeah.
Him and Sterling.
Yeah.
Because they're still in the competition. Yeah. I mean, the others, they could, the one above them, they're out the competition now.
Competition,
yeah. So I think I'd go with maybe look at him, maybe saving him for the Italy game, Reece James. Maybe saving Grealish for the Italy game. Because Italy, you get a lot of free kicks. Because what they'll do, Italy, right? I'm not going to turn back now, Joe. I said a week before a ball was kicked to you on here, and a week before a ball was kicked on the Euro Bureau with James Elder on his podcast and the James Elder podcast, which he never edited in time or got out. I did it the Friday before a ball was kicked. I said Italy. So I'm not going to turn back now. I think Italy will just marginally beat Spain, although I said they'll be part of the usual suspects, Spain, France, Belgium, Germany, but I'm going to hang me out on Italy. Then as the competition progressed, I looked at our pathway and I said, I can't see anyone stopping us now. England v Italy final, right? And I think we'll have too much in our locker for Denmark on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to change my prediction now. So someone like Reece James, someone like Grealish, Reece James with his delivery, maybe even Sancho, he might keep his place with regards to he's got to be encouraged you've got to encourage his teammates to isolate him, which is part of a drill you do in dribbling. Isolate 1v1. That's your first prerequisite. And then it's about outcome. The technique, we won't go through the keys of the technique because we know he's got them, right? But then the 5th key is outcome. Can I shoot? Can I cross? Right. Yeah, and then on the other side, set plays, I think, against Italy in the final or Spain. Right. But I'm still hanging me out on Italy. I think they'll be vital, set pieces. They'll be vital. And I think, because the thing is with Italy, what you'll find is they're absolutely brilliant, which we're still learning and we're still piss poor at, spoiling the game, turning the game ugly.
Cynicism.
Making it rotten. Well, what I said to you about when you called it a Frankenstein player, when I said to you I want a hybrid, and then the final piece of the jigsaw in the hybrid was the cynicism of a South American or any Latin player for that, which I think we can safely say Spain in particular and Italy come into that category. All Latin players.
To be fair, I mean, I wouldn't say we've got a team of divers, but they can dive. Grealish can go over. Sterling can go over, and Kane knows how to go over. And they're going to be manhandling Kane left, right, and centre, and they're the 2 centre halves. Italy, Bonucci and Cellini. I mean, they're 2 wizened old beasts, aren't they? Oafs. But they're phenomenal players, top quality defenders. But they will be doing everything they can to stop Kane. Kane's got to be very cute.
All the more reason to get against them.
Yeah.
All the more reason to get against them. All the more reason to take them on head on. That's assuming they do the Spaniards tomorrow.
Then they go over. Then you know what Materazzi did to Zidane. You know, cutting him off left, right, and centre. Zidane turns around and reacts. Materazzi goes over like he's been shot.
Well, he was lucky he did connect with his chest with that headbutt. If he'd have caught him on the canister or on the bugle, it would have fucking exploded. Yeah.
You know, he's won the World Cup final for him.
Yeah.
Materazzi, by absolutely going so low from by all accounts what he said.
Yeah. I see what people listen. I had it on Twitter, right, Joe, very quickly. One of the guys on Twitter went on about the thing, what's his name, Immobile?
Yeah.
He when he done the Fosbury flop, and he's looking out the corner of his eyes,
and
he's holding his leg and he's writhing and screaming, and then there's the play carries on and they go past, bump, bump, dink, goal. Then he gets up, miraculous recovery, runs over and jumps on his teammate, and he got ridiculed. And I said, "Oh, you got to love him." I love them. You know why? Because they don't give a fuck. They'll do anything.
They win. Yeah.
They do anything to win. And if it means something like that, right? And for too long now, they've gone, "Oh, well, that's not cricket. Fuck cricket. I want to win, Joe. I want to win.
No, I know.
I want to win. If I've got to listen, if I need to fucking iron someone out, right, to give us an advantage, if I need to dive, if I need to waste time, if I need to do the Fosbury flop to start earning free kicks, I'm going to do all of the above.
Yeah. No,
to win. It's something we ain't done. Never, ever, never.
Yeah. Well, we're the glorious losers, aren't we?
Yeah, fucking heroic failure, time after time. Do you know what I mean? I've had enough of it up to here. So, again, they've got to start listening and be as cute as the foreigners. You know what I mean? Go down like you've been fucking poleaxed, shot, hit with a baseball bat, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Go down like that. And then if the play develops, you don't get the free kick, we score, then fucking jump up like Zebedee and jump on your teammate like he did. Who cares?
So do I take from that then? I mean, let's just fucking assume we're going to beat Denmark. We're in the final, right?
Yeah, I think we'll beat them 3-1.
Okay. Or we concede, right? Okay.
I think it'd be England 1-0, England 2-0, Denmark score, England 2-1, England final now 3-1.
Okay, you heard it here first, everyone.
Then we run the clock down.
So let's say we play in Italy in a final. Do we need tricky, fantastic technique ball players to get in a box, and let's see how nimble the 37, 35, 36, 37-year-old Chiellini and Bonucci's fucking calves and ankles are?
Absolutely.
Let's see how many penalties we can win.
Yeah, we need the Sterlings, the Grealishes, the Fodens, the Mounts.
Yeah.
Even if Foden comes on as an impact player 25 minutes from the end. Do you know what I mean?
Let's see
how, get around about them.
How they can handle that.
Yeah. As a big fella, it's your biggest nightmare.
Yeah.
It's someone like with a low centre of gravity, short, stocky, strong, but quick and can change direction. With a lot of mobility. Yeah.
I'd fucking love to beat them.
Yeah, so would I. My head says, my cold calculating forensic professional head says Italy. My heart says England, obviously. So it's going to be, counting our chickens before they've hatched. But I think we'll have too much in the locker for Denmark. I really do. Like you said, it's a key word, momentum.
And I tell you what, obviously the factor of the 60,000 fans in the stadium, I really hope, and I think it will come to fruition, is the Italians are very passionate and romantic, and they love Italy and they cry national anthems, all that, and seen probably as the most passionate patriotic nation probably about.
Again, I admire that.
I admire it, of course I admire it, but I think they'll be. I think we can match them if we get to the final. I think we can be. I think we might. They might underestimate how patriotic and passionate we can be when we need to, particularly when you've got the fans behind us. Yeah. I think it could be quite a moving, seminal moment in our recent history.
It's like I said, Joe. When you don't just play football. You don't play football, you feel it. When you've been on the inside, I've been in games like that, and I've been on both sides of the fence, right? If we get the first goal against Italy, right, assuming that's the final, right, we could be so far wide of the mark, it becomes embarrassing. It could be fucking Spain v Denmark, right? But if it is us and Italy, if we get the first goal, the flip side of that coin, everything you're talking about, is they get too emotional. And this is, and I've played in games. In actual fact, and I went to the other extreme and ended up getting sent off. I remember playing games where you can actually you get the opposition at it, and you're having a keep ball and you're taking the piss a little bit, and you start getting the free kicks, and you can see them literally losing it. Understand? And that's what could happen as well. they start doing stuff out of desperation. They're more than capable of losing their discipline.
We need to get them two lumps sent off at the back. You know, Cellini, who's Mr. Nous, Mr. Cynicism, get the geezer sent off. Make him foul the tricky, ridiculously nippy players that we've got.
You
know, he'll be doing a river dance trying to fucking tackle him.
Yeah, that's
triple him up.
Yeah, that could well be the case. I mean, he got caught out once, Bonucci, and then like the commentator who don't know what he's looking at, just to talk it up, he goes, "Oh, look at that, Bonucci!" Like he's clipped a bog standard 30-yard ball out to the left. Said, "Oh, Bonucci, is he really a centre back?" You know what I mean? Whereas 30 seconds before, he made like basically a fucking bottom of the conference non-league mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, John, it's emotionally fucking powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's powerful.
Do you get emotionally into it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and it's like everything else in my life. It's very bittersweet because I would love to have been part of it.
Yeah.
I would love to have been part of it. I just never crossed the T's or dotted the I's where they were concerned. As I was working as a coach educator like 30 years ago, and you just think, well, can I make sort of headway and progress within this organisation? And I just threw a strop in a fit of pique. I just threw a strop when, like I said, explained before, monitors jobs came up, and it was a full-time job, and you was expected to go around weekly to courses and mentor the course coaches and maybe do a specimen session for the candidates. And it was a very, at the time, very well paid job, around about 1996, 97. So, but obviously I was off the back of the documentary in October 95. So my reputation was set in stone. So no one was going to touch me with a barge pole, least of all the contradiction that is the politically correct FA. You know what I mean? With their main sponsors being McDonald's, but we've got to get the kids active. That's another one I spoke about. I just said, like, it's money, but that's what it's all about. In the end, is money for them.
Money talks.
Well, yeah, but it's like it's like income streams. Like the courses were like income streams, and everyone, our staff, was fully subscribed. Do you know what I mean? Like 40 candidates paying $1,000 a pop, or whatever it was at the time, 600 odd quid a top. Now it's like $5,000 for the full badge, or what I call the full badge, and I think it's $3,000 for a UEFA B. So it's like I said, I don't see the downside of just giving me an hour of their time. Sounds deluded, but in a boardroom somewhere with a buffet and a pot of coffee to talk through a change in syllabus or improvements to the syllabus and changing the structure of the qualifications, which should have happened ages ago. I think you'll have more well-rounded coaches, better qualified coaches in terms of subject matter, accumulation of subject matter, therefore, and which is something that Southgate's been battling against and previous managers have been battling against, the more complete the coach, the more complete the player.
Yeah.
It's like a youth coach's job at a football club. A youth coach's job is, or the reserve team coach's job is to make the first team coach's job easier. That's my belief.
Yeah.
That's my belief. Yeah. When someone progresses to the first team, like players under me did, they slip in, and they slip in seamlessly, effortlessly, without any blips, you know what I mean? And they can play in any system, they can listen to any instruction, and they can adapt and think. So the education of the player is imperative, as is the education of the coach. But it just, alas, it wasn't to be. So like, it's bittersweet for me because I mean, I don't know who some of these pretty boys are, but and where they've fucking sprung from and whether they've ever kicked a ball in anger. I'm pretty sure most of his staff haven't. Yeah, so it just goes to show you.
Well, maybe there'll be a step change in culture if we do win the Euros.
Powell, I think Powell is probably the only one who's had out of all of them. He's the only one who's he had a bit of a checkered managerial career. Beyond circumstances beyond his control, like most of it is. He had a thoroughly decent playing career, solid pro, and he's in now as a black and minority ethnic coach. and but the others, I don't think any of them have kicked a ball ever.
No, but as I say, I think maybe this is the first time I've seen an English identity, and maybe that will permeate the rest of youth football and the FA as a whole post Southgate. Maybe Southgate is the Messiah. Maybe he's the person we've needed to make wholesale changes and influence the game.
Answer me this question then. What do you think that identity is?
Well, I think it's basically being very, very solid, don't concede goals, and play on our strengths of big centre halves that can play a little bit, but ultimately are athletes and are just very tough to break down. Engines in the middle, not particularly technically great and gifted in terms of tiki-taka football, but just break the play up and try and do teams on a counter-attack with pace and trickery. Playing that sort of high-intensity Premier League football. The sort of Leicester way. So Leicester won the league, wasn't it?
Okay.
That seems to me the best approach. Yeah. And that's essentially what he's doing, I think, Southgate. Like you said, two teams, two five-a-side teams, defenders and attackers. Don't concede and try and nick a goal.
I think what's good about him is ultimately it's confirmed what I've always said on here, on other podcasts, in my book. You've got to have your own agenda. You've got to pick your own agenda and stick to it. And that's what he's done, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of, the formation of a decent squad and, the starting 11 within that squad. And then players that can come on and make a difference. Yeah.
Well, I think, I don't know about you, but if he gets us to the final, if we lose the final, I think it's still a massive success. I think obviously it would be very, very disappointing, and I think we should win it, but it's still an improvement on 2018. We got to semis then. We got to the final in this one, and they got the World Cup next year.
I wouldn't know, but it's said that the worst game to lose is the semi-final. But that's just like listening to people, pundits who have played in cup finals and cup semi-finals, and they said it's the worst game to lose.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for 1 minute, and I don't subscribe to what you're saying, which ties in with what a load of people have been saying on Twitter. I don't subscribe to it for 1 minute. Is
a success if we lose the final?
That's right. Yeah, no, I don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree. Once you get there, you've got to be desperate to win it. You've got to want to win it. You've got to try and win it. You've got to believe you can win it. And I'll be honest with you, with everything, like it's, they didn't actually say, but they said, I think Shearer said again, he said something's brewing, something. And I think it's everything we've said on here. It's serendipity. It's lots of ingredients coming together all at the same time that are all good in terms of players, playing levels, age, ability, athleticism.
It's that Wembley.
We've had good luck with injury. We've had good luck with a draw. We've had good luck with because don't forget he was touch and go for a while. Harry Kane with the thing. Harry Maguire was touch and go. It looked like we might have at the play the whole tournament with Mings. Who else was there? There was another one.
Henderson, wasn't it?
Henderson, he ain't played hardly any football.
The only one we lost was Trent.
Yeah, just before. Just before, which was a shame.
Oh, and Dean Henderson, but second choice. Anyway.
Yeah. Goalkeeper, yeah. So there's, and that with coupled with momentum, there's loads and loads of good stuff, lots of good stuff happening all at once. All right, I think it's ours to lose, Joe. I think it's ours to lose.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. But I'll
especially tomorrow.
Yeah, especially tomorrow. Wednesday. Yeah.
Beg your pardon. Yeah, Wednesday. We're talking Monday, aren't we? Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll try and fit another one in before the final if we get there.
there.
And watch this space, guys. Like, follow, subscribe. Send me any messages you want me to pass them on to John. My DM's are always open. You can slide into them whenever you want. Or John's. He's probably got a lot more than me. John, it's coming home, isn't it?
If you say so. I'm up to here with it.
Politician's answer, that was. I was after yes or no.
Yeah, well, don't get me started on that. The way they've all latched onto it and all. It's what I've said to you, how it's all linked. It's sad, isn't it? But yeah, I'm trying to be, like I said, I've gone about my thing with the deconstructivism of the group qualification stage, the last 16, the last 8. I'm trying to be glass half full. Now they've got. I said they need to lay down a marker against Germany, and they did. Now what we've got to do is go out, emphatic win tomorrow, Wednesday. I beg your pardon, Wednesday. I keep saying tomorrow.
Well, it's Spain and Italy tomorrow, so
Spain, Italy, yeah.
We'll know who we've hopefully got in the final.
Yeah.
Exciting times.
I'll go.
Big week for English football.
Have a tenner on 3-1. Have a tenner on 3-1.
Okay. All right, I will.
All right, mate.
All right. Well, cheers everyone, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thanks for your time.